Hello, this is going to be a very quick first impressions video on Amouage King Blue. Believe me, this is an actual King Blue sample. I've ripped off as you can see, like the paper naming and perfume branding off of the sample. I know this is not a big sample, but I've been enjoying it a lot. Over the past few weeks, this is maybe one of the Amouages the few Amouages that I've tried that I've liked the most. Maybe under Jubilation 25, but there are obviously different types of scents and perfume, even vibe by itself. However, I like this a lot. In general, I've seen that I'm enjoying it. I like fruity ouds. I'm new to perfumery, but I like stuff like the Moon and even this King Blue per se. Although, as I said also in my last video, I will make some parallels between this one and the Moon. This one, as I said, even in my last video, feels a bit more like maybe where a real oud actually is being used in here. It feels a bit like three-dimensional, it has more body compared to something like the Moon that feels very strong and very powerful, but also pretty almost synthetic and more monodimensional in a way, if that makes sense. But enough with the chatter. Let's talk about how do I smell this. So in the opening, you get this very strong fruity sweetness, slightly fresh sweetness, as like fruits typically tend to give. There is blackcurrant, there is mandarin. So the mandarin, I have to say that if you don't read it from the notes, it's hard to say that there is mandarin in it. There is, like, when you read it, like, maybe there is this vaguely very sweet, though maybe citrusiness in the opening, citrusy fruitness, but it's like almost nothing synthetic, but pretty sweet. Like, it doesn't feel like an actual mandarin or an orange that you will buy from a store. Or if it's like an orange, or if it's like a mandarin, it's like modified in a way. Modified in a way to make it more like sweeter and less, let's say, less hard to smell, if that makes sense, or to taste. So I definitely get more the imagery of let's say a dark bluish, purplish type of fruit. And in fact, the blackcurrant for me is maybe the at the forefront. But there is also something vaguely orangey, but in a very sweet way. There's like this slightly, citrusy edge, but it's not what you would like. It's not the first thing you would think about if you don't read the notes. You wouldn't think about, oh, there's orange here. Maybe you would. It depends on your nose, but I typically don't like citruses a lot, and I like this opening, so it's not that hard on your nose, and from the get-go you also get this base oudiness from the base. I've seen people talk about this skankiness, this weirdness smell. It is definitely true. I don't know if I would necessarily call it like a barnyardy oud. It's not like something from I don't know, the Maxime perfumes, for example, type of smell. So it's not like that fecal or barnyardy. But maybe if I had to give like a word to describe it, maybe it is ever so slightly barnyardy, but very faintly. It's, you have to smell it obviously, and to know how like oud smells. But I like it. I like how it pairs with the fruitiness in the opening. I've been wearing this a lot lately. I like this a lot, but like the more you wear it, the more maybe I would like to tone it down. Like in the opening, it is pretty sweet. It's not the oudiness that gets me. It's maybe more the fruitiness that is nice, but it is also pretty strong. But obviously, as it dries down, you lose that almost zestiness in your face, sweetness from the fruit, and also you lose a bit of that funkiness, weirdness from the oud in the base, and it sort of smooths out. I've seen some people talk about how this feels almost like vanilla-like, especially after a bit. I think it is. It doesn't smell like vanilla necessarily, but I think that there is like frankincense and there is amber as mid notes, at least from Fragrantica lists. And I think like maybe the slight balsamic edge, almost like vanilla-like edge from the frankincense, and the that smooth sweetness that amber can give, Paired with this, the two things I said, so the fact that it loses a bit of that fruitiness strength from the opening, and that weirdness, that oudiness weirdness from the base, it makes it so that it smooths out, almost like it feels a bit like creamy in a way. So I see how you could think that, you know, it gives this almost vanilla-like type of vibe, because it is slightly sweet and smooth. But there is also always something a bit oody in it. There's even like maybe a slight smokiness that's coming from the oud that you perceive a bit more as it dries down, or especially if you put it on fabric. Like if you spray this a bit on your shirt, like the next day if you smell it, it feels much more smoky, sorry. And you know, that's the thing I like to do, because it sort of extends your, if you have like a small sample, I always try to spray it a bit like on my neck area, and also try to get the, you know, the shirt, you know, the collar area of the shirt. So because like the next day I can still smell it and also see how it changes. And I've seen that like on tissue, like on fabric, it gets much more smoky. So like when you go to smell it after a day, you get this very smoky, sweet, you know, almost like this sweet fog of blackcurrant and sweetie citrus, mandarin. So that's the review. As I said, I like this a lot. I don't know if I would say, I've tried only a few, as you can see, Amouage samples, like Interlude, Reflection, Silver Oud. I've tried Orature Woman, I've tried Jubilation, I've tried Epic Man. Maybe I would say that all of these, Jubilation as a smell itself is maybe the one I would put as my favorite, even though it's not the best performance on a perfume. This one I like a lot. Maybe I've used it a bit too much, honestly, because it is pretty strong. So, and having a small sample, I try to spray not a lot, maybe like one or twice when I do. So it actually lasted me a lot, and I've tried it a lot of times. Like Jubilation is a bit the opposite. Like to get a bit of performance, you have to spray it a lot, and when you have a small sample, obviously that means you will have less wears. So I definitely have tried maybe this one a bit too much over the past few weeks, but it is very nice. I mean, I like it a lot, as I said, compared to like something like, I don't know, the Moon. I would say that maybe I prefer this a bit more, because the Moon, as I said, feels a bit more compact. Like the ingredients feels like compressed in a specific lane. This one feels a bit more three-dimensional. It has more body. And obviously it is a different type of smell. The Moon is more raspberry, almost like a syrupy, strong sweetness, almost like a synthetic sweetness. This is a more fruity sweetness, but it's still very strong, at least in the opening. I think that the Moon is more, it has this almost cheesy-like smell from the oud. It is more smoky, especially afterwards. It gets this almost like burnt wood, but also always sweet from the raspberry type of smell. This one, it gets a bit smoother actually as it dries down, and almost like creamier, if that makes sense. And so, but I think maybe I would prefer this one. I'd like to try like maybe the Moon fragrance with this type of oud in the base. That would be like a nice fragrance, I think. So this was my quick impressions of King Blue. Let me know what you think about the fragrance, and see you in the next video.